A new tool out of Oxford University could change the conversation millions of people have with their doctors every day. The conversation about whether to take a statin. Hi, my name is Soumya Pillai. Welcome to another episode of Pure Science. And if you've ever picked up a cholesterol prescription for yourself or for your family members and hesitated, worried about muscle pain or something worse, this episode is definitely for you. Researchers at the University of Oxford have built a calculator that does something doctors haven't really been able to do before, which is to put a real personal number on your risk of a serious muscle problem from statin drugs. Before I get into the details, let me first give you some background. Statins are some of the most widely prescribed medications on earth, taken to lower cholesterol and cut the risk of heart attack and stroke. And yet, study after study has shown that a huge number of people who could benefit from them either never start or they quit early, and the reason, again and again, comes down to fear of muscle side effects like aches, weakness, and sometimes worse. It is one of the most common reasons patients walk away from a drug their doctors say could save their life. So the Oxford team set out to answer a very specific question. For any given person, how likely is a serious muscle disorder? And mind you, these do not include the everyday aches, but the kind serious enough to land you in the hospital. How likely is that to happen? To find out, researchers pulled anonymized health records from more than 5.6 million people registered across England. They used data from 1.7 million of those patients to build their prediction model, then tested it against another 3.9 million people to make sure it actually held up. That is about as large and rigorous a foundation as you'll see in this kind of research. And what they found is that more than 98% of people who their doctors had identified as eligible for statin therapy turned out to be at low risk of a serious muscle disorder over the following 10 years. That means for the overwhelming majority of people being told to consider a statin, the nightmare scenario people worried about is statistically very unlikely to happen. Now, it is worth pausing on what serious here means, because this is where a lot of public fear gets misplaced. Like I said before, researchers here were not measuring the common muscle aches and soreness that a lot of people report while on statins, which is the kind of thing that gets blamed for stopping treatment altogether. They were measuring muscle disorders serious enough to cause hospital admissions or even death. Real research the team points to has already shown that most of those everyday aches and pains people blame on statins aren't actually being caused by the statin at all. So when this new calculator says that the risk is low for 98% of people, it is talking about the rare, severe stuff. And even there, for almost everyone, the odds are firmly in favor. But here is the twist, and it might be the more important headline buried in this study. While the researchers were confirming that serious side effects are rare, they also found that more than 60% of people who were eligible for statins simply were not taking them. Some of those people were at high risk of a heart attack or a stroke. So the actual danger here may not be the drug's rare side effects at all. It may be all the people quietly skipping a treatment that could be protecting their heart because of a risk that for most people barely exists. So now, how does the calculator actually work? It looks at 22 routine pieces of information about you, including your age, sex, ethnicity, body mass index, whether you smoke, your existing medical condition, any past muscle problems, whether you're low on vitamin D, other medications you're taking, and whether you've already been prescribed a statin. Feed all that in and it estimates your personal odds of a serious muscle disorder over 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years. And the researchers designed it to be used right alongside heart risk calculators like QRisk. So a doctor and a patient can look at both sides of a scale at the same time. Now, most people in India or outside of the UK may not be familiar with QRisk. It is an online tool used to estimate your risk of developing cardiovascular disease, such as heart attack or stroke, over the next 10 years. While India does not use this tool, clinicians here rely on many other validated international models to calculate patient risk. Many of these international models give an insight into how much could this drug lower my risk of a heart attack or a stroke, and how much could it realistically raise my risk of a serious muscle problem. So two numbers side by side, which makes for a better comparison. The lead researcher on this, Dr. Ting Tsai, said in a media statement that the point isn't to tell everyone that statins are risk-free. It is to give people an accurate sense of scale so that the small number of patients who are truly at elevated risk can have a more focused conversation with their doctor about monitoring or alternatives, while the vast majority can stop treating a rare complication as if it were a coin flip. The bottom line that researchers want you to walk away with is that for almost everyone who is a candidate for statins, the odds of a serious muscle problems are very small. And the bigger risk for many people may be a heart attack or a stroke because they were too worried about a side effect that for them was never very likely in the first place. That was all from me this week. I am Soumya Pillai and you were watching Pure Science on The Print.